We'd like to welcome everyone to our City Council meeting tonight, Tuesday, July 25th. We'd like to excuse Councilman Jesse Bell, and Councilwoman Price Hewish is attending electronically, so she's here with us, although she's not here in person. We will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Harriet Hilton.
I pledge allegiance. Please stand. Recite the pledge with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Harriet. Thank you. She knew every word. And now we will invite our David Hall, our representative from the Mueller Park Stake, to offer our prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for thy many blessings. We're thankful for the circumstances that allow us to meet tonight, and grateful for those that give of their time and their talents to serve our community. We ask you to bless us tonight, that we might talk about business and the matters at hand with individuals in mind and with their well-being, that we might continue to foster a loving and welcoming community here in Bountiful. We give you thanks for the rain that we've received, the moisture, and all other blessings at thy hand, and pray for these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much for that prayer, David. It is now time for our public comment period, and it's 2 minutes for anyone who would like to speak. Please state your name and your address, and we'd love to hear from you.
Hi there, I'm Delane England. My address is 671 East Chelsea Drive in Bountiful. And I just want to start, I'm going to be in trouble with the time. I might have to have Ron finish up for me. I want to say thank you so much for your service. I know you make a lot of sacrifices to be here. I thought that I was on the agenda, but there seems to be a mistake. So I am here to present Freedom's Light Festival to you. As I'm sure all of you know, Governor Cox has sent a letter to all cities and schools asking that each of the school in each city participate in some way in celebrating the Constitution for the month of September, Constitution Month. So I know that all of you are very familiar with Freedom's Light Festival, and I just want to thank you for your past support. It really means a lot, and also invite you to come and participate, and we would love to have your support in any way you see fit. We really need it in the newsletter. We need it in the, I saw that it's on the website, but we definitely need it in the newsletter. That's a very inexpensive way to interface with the citizens of Bountiful. And we love it on the marquee. The marquee at the park is very helpful. So we would really appreciate it if everybody would send an email out to your email constituents and remind them and let them know. And I have flyers for all of you and a copy of the letter. And what we do is we recreate colonial America. As a school teacher, history teacher, I found that most teachers did not feel like they knew enough to teach it, and they didn't have curriculum. And so I tried to make a fun and engaging event that not only can they meet the founding fathers and founding mothers who did amazing things, but also we teach the principles of the Constitution through interactive games and activities, because that not only makes it more engaging, it makes it better, easier to understand, and also it helps people retain that information more. So thank you very much. And you all have my number, so you can call me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
August of last year, one of my neighbors was visiting our house, left a little after dark and tripped on the raised concrete you see there that was raised about 8 inches. I tried to notify the city to ask what needed to be done. Councilman Bradshaw was very helpful in directing me to the right person, and work was eventually started. It was just completed, as you can see by the picture there. My complaint is it was fixed with asphalt. I checked the city's website. Concrete is the only allowable material to be used for sidewalks in the city of Bountiful. I was told by Mr. Cheney that this was a temporary patch until the lot was built out with a home. Unfortunately, the lot's been vacant for over 30 years. It's not for sale now, so it could be another 30 years before a home is built there. So to me, that's not temporary. It's unsightly, and myself and none of my neighbors are happy with it, and it doesn't meet city specifications. I took some time over the weekend, drove around every one of your homes on the city council. There's not one asphalt patch near any one of your homes in the city of Bountiful. You guys don't live very close to each other, so as I drove around, obviously I got to see quite a bit of Bountiful. There are no asphalt patches anywhere in Bountiful that I could find. I also found some empty lots, which are few and far between in Bountiful, but there's some on Bountiful Boulevard, some on Moss Hill, and some on Templeview, all of them which had fairly recent concrete patches made to their sidewalks when they had been needed. Again, contacted Mr. Cheney to let him know that I was displeased, wanted to know if anything else we could do. He returned the email with a picture of my home and driveway, and this was the exact quote that he attached to it. I find it somewhat amusing that this conversation / discussion is because you feel that we have not followed our own standards, yet I'm not aware that the same standards also authorize or have ever authorized the installation of stamped colored concrete for either the drive approach or the sidewalk through the drive approach as you have at your home. Perhaps if the issue is visual appearance, we may want to consider expanding the scope of the discussion by a small increment to include your improvements. That seemed like a veiled threat to me, and I've only been there 6 years, and the home and driveway were put in 30 years ago, so I'm not really too concerned about that, but I just can't believe that a city official would actually say that to one of its constituents. So I don't know what concerns me more, that he said that, or that all 6 members of the city council were CC'd and nobody else responded and thought that was inappropriate. I don't think Mr. Cheney lives in Bountiful, probably doesn't care whether this is aesthetically pleasing to the residents or not, but I do. Thank you.
Hello. I'm James Harwell, some of you know, 107 East, 1700 South. And I thought I'd take a moment to say hello to everyone that I haven't quite met and explain a little bit about why I chose to withdraw from the candidacy for my candidacy for city council. Basically, I just think you need someone who's extremely qualified, who knows everyone, knows the history, and I've only been a resident here for a couple of years. You know, I think my motivation for stepping up was because I'm concerned about things going on in the whole country. I think politics began at home, at the city council level. But I think that was my primary motivation. So, you know, I just want to support you in your efforts. There's a lot of things on the table that go all the way up to the top, such as the increase in electricity rates caused by federal regulations and things like that that matter. I got about 50 seconds, so I'll just want to finish up with a couple of things that I think are on my radar screen that I would get started with, and you probably have already got most of it covered. But for one thing, we need to see that more and more trees are planted along the boulevards for, you know, aesthetics, but also because it helps cool us down. I was a tree farmer for about 30 years in Mississippi, where I'm from. And so I'm not a tree hugger. I'm actually, you know, in the business a little bit. So, but I can appreciate that. It helps with the aesthetics of the town, and something we need to focus on. I don't know if we have a city arborist or not. One of the many things that we don't have. So I've used up all my time, but quickly, we need to have support the businesses program in conjunction, cross-marketing with the other cities around here. You know, if you got to find somebody to do business with, call somebody locally, such as, you know, lawn irrigation repair, you know, things like that. The streets, the walkability of the city, zoning with signage, signage issues, and zoning department may need to relax and let businesses put their signs up and promote business development. So that's all for now, because used up my time. But thank you, and it's a pleasure to get to know a few of you a little bit at a time. And thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else? We really appreciate each of you coming and your comments tonight. We will now consider approval of minutes from previous meetings held July 11th.
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of July 11th. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just wondering if Cecily is able to vote.
Oh, my microphone was turned off. I did say aye.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that motion passes. And now we will move to council reports. Councilwoman Price Hewish, do you have a report tonight?
Nothing to report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bradshaw.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Higginson.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Segura Bar.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay. We will now consider approval of expenditures greater than $1,000 paid July 3rd and 10th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And now we'll consider the approval of the appointment of Mr. Dallin Fredrickson as city treasurer. I'll turn the time over to Mr. Tyson Beck.
I thought I'd come up here so that we could invite Dallin to come up. So tonight, I'm excited to present for your approval the appointment of Dallin Fredrickson as our new city treasurer. As you're aware, our previous city treasurer for the past 9 years, Ted Elder, retired, and we're excited for this opportunity to invite Dallin to be a part of the city staff and fill this role of city treasurer. It is an appointed position by the mayor and city council, and so we bring him for your approval tonight for his appointment. And then it is a statutory position by state code, as well as the finance director, and so those two roles do need to function separately, but they are both within the finance department. So happy to present Dallin for your approval tonight. We are stealing Dallin away from Pleasant Grove. He was previously in their payroll department, and Dallin is well qualified, and we're excited for the opportunity to present him for your approval tonight. Happy to answer any questions you do have about this appointment.
Welcome.
We're really grateful to have you. Thanks for being here. And it's nice to have your family. With that, we'll entertain, do we have a motion, or is it a swearing in? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm going to make the motion that we approve the appointment as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Welcome. Thank you. And now we get to have a swearing in.
And we'll turn the time over to David for that. He's our deputy city recorder.
Raise your right arm and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
We're really grateful to have you. Thank you, Dallin.
I'm
Welcome
going,
to
I'm
Bountiful
going to
City.
assume that Dallin brought his family with him since he's sitting with them. Is this your wife and kids? Do you want to introduce them really fast to us? Is that okay? Hope that's okay, Mayor.
Beautiful family. Thank you for being here. We're really welcome. We're really happy to have you at the city. Thanks. Okay, we will now move to consider the conditional approval of a single event beer permit for the 2023 Music and Arts Festival. Mr. Francisco Astorga.
Thank you, Mayor. The city received an application for a single event beer permit, which in our city code falls under a category of a Class E retail beer license, which entitles the licensee to sell beer in a specific location. And this is in conjunction with the application was submitted by Patrick Packard with the 2023 Bountiful Music and Art Festival in collaboration with the Bountiful Main Street Merchants Association. The event is to take place on September 16th, 2023. That's a Saturday. And the city's currently reviewing event application to close off vehicular access to Main Street to accommodate a performing stage, food vendors, art vendors, and this beer garden. And that's what we have in front of you. This beer garden would be in compliance with all state rules, regulations, and laws. This is what they need in order to submit their application through the Utah Department of Alcoholic. They changed. They used to be DABC, now they're DABS. Thank you. Mr. Patrick Packard is here, and he can answer any additional questions you might have for us at this time, but we've looked at the application. I reviewed it, city attorney, chief of police, we reviewed the application, and we do recommend that you provide the local consent from the city for the 2023 Bountiful Music and Art Festival taking place on September 16th.
I have a question, Mayor.
Please.
Francisco, where is, if we're closing Main Street between 4th North and 5th South, where in that stretch do you anticipate the 30 by 30 beer garden being located?
Yeah, so the beer garden is between 4th South and 5th South, not 4th North.
Okay.
I don't believe that the applicant has the exact location just yet. It would be on the street between 4th South and 5th South, not 4th North. The festival would take place in a larger footprint than that, but they're requesting to locate the beer garden at that south end of the festival area.
Any other questions from the council? I know that the Patrick and his group have been working hard on this for months and trying to coordinate with the city and trying to make sure that it's a fun, engaging activity for our residents.
I'm just curious to know as how businesses will be alerted.
In conjunction with the event application, it is the property owner's responsibility to seek such permits to close the street. There is no such requirement for the beer application regarding this. Not that it's not in the code, and should you feel inclined to add a condition of approval, I'm looking at legal counsel, I think you can ask for any sort of notification. But for the event itself, since they are asking for a street closure, the applicant has to obtain permission from businesses and property owners in that location. Council can address whether, I don't know if you're leaning towards specific notification regarding the beer garden, but it's currently not in the city code. It may be a requirement from the state, but it is currently not a requirement from our city code.
Yeah, I should clarify, it wasn't in regard to the beer garden, it was strictly
For the event.
this closure, just so businesses know that parking and driving in front of their businesses won't be happening that day.
Right. Furthermore, we identified that they also need to contact UTA for the bus service for a reroute. So we've been, like as the mayor indicated, we have been working on this application since probably January, February. And this is one of the final steps.
Any other questions?
I make a motion to approve the single event beer permit for the 2023 Music and Arts Festival on September 16th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, that motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for your work. We'll now consider approval of the purchase of a 2022 Chevy Silverado. Mr. Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor. The golf course has been working over the last couple of years to find a suitable pickup for their superintendent. Recently, a pickup became available through Young Automotive, and the city manager was approached for authorization to purchase that vehicle in lieu of a dump truck that's scheduled in the current budget, in the FY24 budget. So this item is just to inform the council that that purchase was made with the city manager's authorization, and it was under a state contract amount in the amount of $58,854. Truck's currently at the golf course on site. And this is just, again, an informative item for the council's approval.
Any questions, council?
I look forward to the return of plentiful trucks.
Move to
Sometime
approve
in the
the
future.
previous purchase of the truck. Councilman?
That was going to include a motion at the end, but I'll second
sorry.
yours.
Thank you.
Okay, it's moved by Councilman Higginson and seconded by Councilwoman Bradshaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And now we'll go back to you, Mr. Cheney, to consider final approval of the Beament Canyon Estates subdivision.
Thank you, Mayor. This is probably a very familiar item to the council. I know it's been discussed on numerous occasions with council and planning commission. Recently, the applicant, Mr. Beament, has completed two requirements for the final approval, leading up to the final approval of this subdivision. The first of those being granting of a variance, relieving him of the obligation to provide two accesses to his proposed single lot subdivision in North Canyon. And the most recent being the granting of a conditional use permit by the Planning Commission for this subdivision, which is a requirement by ordinance. All the other conditions previously reviewed in the preliminary approval remain as far as compliance with frontage and lot size and slope. He's still in compliance with all of those parameters in our zoning ordinance. And so staff would recommend that the council grant final approval to Mr. Beament for his subdivision, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Comment?
Please.
Still feel very comfortable about releasing the applicant from the requirement of a second access. Just wanted you to know. And I'm happy to make a motion to approve if we're ready.
Second?
Happy to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No problem. Okay, that approval passes. And now we'll turn the time over to the chief for the next two items to consider approval of purchase of an HVAC controller and for resolution 2023-10.
Mayor and members of the council, thanks for allowing us some time tonight. The following is a request to approve the purchase of a replacement controller unit that controls the HVAC system at the public safety building. Over the last couple of years, we've made several changes to the HVAC system. It was the original one built in the building. Last year, we changed out the entire air conditioning part of that unit. And during that process, we learned that the controls that were controlling the other one will still control the one that we have now. However, it's outdated, and if anything were to happen to it, we would not be able to get replacement parts. And in weeks like we're in right now, air conditioning is very important. So with the help of building maintenance, we asked for bids to replace the HVAC controllers. 2 companies submitted their bids. Johnson Controls submitted a bid with the price of $37,181, and CCI submitted a bid with the price of $48,758. And we were recently contacted by Johnson Controls to let us know that on July 20th of 2023, they would be increasing their cost by 20%. With that information, I met with the city manager and was given authorization to sign an agreement with Johnson Controls to make the order before the price was to increase by that 20%. Johnson Controls was the original low bid as well. So with that, I respectfully request your approval, yes, information approval, to purchase the HVAC controllers from Johnson Controls for $37,181.
Any discussion?
If there's no discussion, I'm happy to make a motion that we approve the HVAC controllers from Johnson & Johnson for $37,131.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And Chief?
Okay, this next item is for an interlocal agreement with the Davis County School District. In 2020, or every 5 years, we have to sign a new interlocal agreement with the school district regarding our school resource officers. The last time we did this was in 2021. That agreement was in effect for 5 years, like I said. The interlocal agreement that we are requesting to be entered into will be in effect for the next 5 years. It designates the schools SROs for Bountiful High School, Viewmont High School, Bountiful Junior High, Wheeler Park Junior High, Mill Creek Junior High, South Davis Junior High. And the reason for the change now is with some legislative updates this last session. Some changes needed to be made to that particular agreement. And so that's the reason for needing to redo it before the 5 years is up. I do have 5 or so items that were changes in that agreement. If you're interested in knowing what they are, I can allow that for questions here in a second. But basically it's the same agreement, just with some different wording to comply with HB 61, I think it was. Yes, HB 61.
Are those changes related to the duties and the chain of command for school safety, or are they somewhere else?
Would you like me to tell you briefly the 5 there's 5 of them that I noted. At the request of the school district, they want a law enforcement officer to be responsible for teaching a class. So that was not part of the assignment before. All of our SROs already do that. It's not a class that's taught for the entire semester where kids sign up for, let's say, law enforcement class, but they are asked to come in by the health department, driver's ed teacher, social studies teachers, that sort of stuff, to give like a one-time class on various things. But that is now in the agreement to have us do that. They're also put in there to have annually for us to get feedback from each school about the SROs that are assigned to the school. Again, we've already been doing that and have been doing that for many years. Every year, the supervisor who's in charge of the schools does reach out to the principals to get feedback about if they're happy with their SRO, or are there things that they would like done differently and various stuff like that. So we're already have been compliant with that. It's required that the principal and the SRO complete approved training as outlined by the legislature. So they will, our SROs can get training every single year anyway. And again, we've been doing that for many years, but this training is specific to what is outlined in code. There is different wording on what gets referred to a school rather than the criminal charges. So anything under a Class C misdemeanor, the SRO does not charge them. They get referred to the school for some intervention there at the school first. And the last one was some student rights regarding search and seizure, questioning, arrests, and making sure that we're, as an officer, are complying with the Davis School District policy.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thanks for outlining those changes. Any other discussion?
Mayor, I had, reached out to our chief and the city manager earlier today with just a question that might be helpful for everyone. As we've done pay increases to our police department, I wanted to make sure that those were being reflected in what was passed through to the school district. So I received a response, but it just might be helpful for everyone as, you know, we made those changes to our payroll mid-cycle.
Yeah, and I think that was a really great question. And so for your guys' information, every year I speak with Blake Haycock, who's with the school district, and give him who our school resource officers are in every one of those positions. And then they pay 75% of our total compensation as that particular employee. So whether it's the new compensation and raises that we've had over the last couple of years, or it could be just a different officer. It could be somebody who's been here for 1 or 2 years now. We're putting them in there with somebody who's at the top of the pay scale at 15 years type of thing. And so that is also calculated in there. So it's really based upon the actual wage and compensation that each officer is at those particular schools.
Good information. Thank you. Great. Any other questions?
I would just like to say this is one of my favorite programs that our police department does, and my kids love the SRO or school. So thank you for this, and thanks for the clarification on those five items, as well as the pay information. That's good information to know. So thank you.
Mayor, I'm happy to make a resolution, motion that we approve resolution 2023-10 on the interlocal agreement with the school district for the SROs.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, that passes. Thank you so much, Chief. We appreciate that. And now we'll turn the time over to our attorney, Mr. Drake, to consider resolution 2023-11.
Thank you, Mayor. I think council's familiar with the shared master offense table. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Artificial flowers?
Yeah.
Can you clarify?
Yeah.
And what does throwing missiles mean?
Throwing missiles is, so the artificial flowers, I've not read that one myself. I'd have to read it to give you my interpretation and what it's about. But on that topic, I think it's a good opportunity in the near future to maybe come forward with, there's some of those that need to be repealed, and perhaps that's one of them. The
Can you
throwing
maybe add
missiles.
in age requirements for dancing? Because I had a whole Footloose series I was
I was gonna
prepared
say,
to
you
ask.
don't want Footloose.
Only if it means Kevin Bacon is coming to Bountiful.
I heard Gary's been working on his moonwalk.
It was a great opportunity to look up various parts of our ordinances as different things caught my
Yeah,
eye.
the next
a
step
good
would be is
exercise.
we do need to clean some of that up, and that would be our next step, is to come forward with some recommendations as to what needs to be repealed, what needs to be amended, things of that nature. The throwing missiles, if your question was serious, it's basic, yeah, snowballs.
Water balloons?
Water balloons.
I'm glad none of
eggs.
my kids were ever caught doing that by Chief Beeler.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just one that on code section 6-12-110, tennis courts, parks and recreation. That just seems kind of vague to me, but maybe that would be clarified when we go through that exercise of.
Yeah. Yeah, I could look it up for you right now, but off the top of my head, I'm sure it just has something to do with damaging tennis courts or something like that. Something with the net or the surface.
The whole horse-drawn carriage series also I found incredibly entertaining.
It was great.
And the driving of cattle on city sidewalks.
Now we know what you do on a Saturday night.
You can neither stand nor partake of alcoholic beverages in a horse-drawn container. Or, excuse me, horse-drawn conveyance.
It was
It's
a great
disappointing to me.
exercise.
I was just wondering where I find one in Bountiful.
It was fun.
Any other questions?
I'm happy to make a motion that we adopt resolution 2023-11 with the shared master offense table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes, and now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We are adjourned.